my favorite things is when non-believers become believers. Follower named Kevin sent me the story, and we're going to call it Ghost Tours. Kevin says that he lived in a small town in Ohio. This specific ghost tour company was looking for a tour guide. He was a student in college, so he thought, why not make some extra money? He didn't mind it because he didn't believe in anything paranormal, so he said, why not? He gets the job and he starts on his ghost tours. He had to go through some training to learn the history of these specific places, and at first he thought it was just talk. But of course, until one night. He had a tour and there was 16 people along for the tour, and he was going from site to site, going over the history, what happened. And at this specific hotel, he said that he turned on the EMF reader and the voice box. And if you don't know, a voice box is some sort of device that kind of goes through all the channels so fast. It sounds like static, but sometimes words do come through, and it is said that it is a ghost or a spirit that's trying to come through. Well, everyone is surrounding Kevin, and he is there holding the voice box, and he's talking, he's saying, hi, is anyone there? Getting nothing. They start to move around, and he clearly hears his name come through the voice box. Kevin. And he's like, am I the only one that heard that? And everyone's looking at him like. Seconds later, he hears something come through the voice box, and it says Wendy. What's crazy is that Wendy was his puppy that had passed away the week prior. So now he's freaking out. He's like, okay, first of all, who knows my name? Second of all, how do you know my dog's name, Wendy? Like, he says that he never believed in anything like this, so he never minded doing stuff like this. But because he knows now that there is the other side, there are other beings, he is so scared of messing with that stuff. He's afraid of something following him. He said that he had been working at this tour place for about 2 months. He had never heard anything. He had never seen anything until this one night, and he said that was more than enough for him. He quit that job immediately, and he was like, no thanks, I don't need anything to attach to me and potentially come home with me. I am good. I have seen what I had to see. I have heard what I have to hear, and I'm good. That is so crazy though, how whatever that was knew his name and knew that him and his dog were so close, and Wendy had just passed away that week prior. Like, how would anyone know that? Thank you so much to Kevin for sending me this spooky story. As always, if you guys have a story that you'd like for me to read, please send them via DM or email, and I'd love to read them, and I will see you guys in the next spooky story. Bye!
I'm going to try this for the second time because when I recorded the first time, it was no audio recorded. But now I'm just going to speed it up. This is what happened when the ghost followed me home from New Orleans. When we were leaving New Orleans and we were all in the car, I felt that there was a man with me, and I told everybody in the car there was a man with us, and we all did our own little separate prayers to try to get him to go ahead and stay where he was at, and he couldn't come with us, right? Of course, sometimes it doesn't always work depending on the people that you're around and all that. So I get back to Atlanta. About 3 or 4 days after that, things start moving around in my house, okay? One, I start realizing that there's somebody peeking around corners in here like this. And I would see shit like this. So after seeing that a lot, I started to acknowledge the spirit, like, who are you? What do you want? Get out, you know? And then it started touching stuff in here. So this was me and my girlfriend was going through this where we will be sitting somewhere alone and things start moving around in the house. There was a time where I was sitting over here on this couch, and all the way across the room over here, I saw my shoe slowly lean and fall off of something. There was a different time I was sitting right here on the couch, and you see that bag over there? That bag is hooked onto some clips. It unhooked itself and fell to the floor. Dead silent in here. I'm chilling, sitting on the couch by myself, and I just have to look up and be like, stop touching shit, right? So this was the ongoing theme for about a week and a half in my house. Was like things were moving around. They didn't have no business moving around. And I talked to my girlfriend about it. She had been seeing something walking around in the house. Things had been moving around, and she had felt something poke her. Now, this is when I knew that it was getting serious. I could feel him, and I could see things about him in my mind's eye. I could see what he looked like. I could see about how old he was. I could see what his energy was like. I could see what he was wearing. So I was starting to get a feel and an idea for him and like why he was around. Wasn't a bad guy at all, kind of like a guy that like died young in his early 20s, and I was just the only light that he could see in that area, so he followed me all the way home. But I was laying in the room, right? I went to go take a nap. My girlfriend told me, like, go ahead and take a nap. So I went in the room to take a nap. She was out here in the kitchen where I'm currently at. I'm in the bedroom, on the end of the bed, taking a nap, right? Laid underneath it like this extra little blanket or whatever, just laying on the end of the bed. I felt her walk into the room, and you know, you can kind of hear the air change or whatever, like when somebody's coming close to you. I felt her and heard her walk into the room, and it felt like she walked into the room, looked at me, noticed I was asleep, and then touched my head and gave me a kiss and walked out. Now, when she walked in, when I heard her walk in the room, I woke up. My eyes was closed, but I woke up. I thought she was going to ask me something. So I woke up, and I felt the fingertips touch the back of my head, and I felt my head kind of get this weird little tingle on the inside, and I felt the really, really light. And I turned directly around, and the room was empty. So I sat up, and I said, oh, okay. Came out here and noticed she was in the kitchen. Told her what happened as soon as it happened, right? So after that, I honestly sat in here one day when he started moving shit around again and fucking with the lights. Like, he was making the lights flicker and stuff. So I told him that he had to leave. But the thing about me is I don't just like banish spirits to go and you know, haunt somebody else. I send you on your way. So I called in my angels and my spirit guides and my ancestors to come in and help this guy move on if he was willing to do so. And he was willing to do so. He just didn't know where to go or how to do it. So we helped him. He moved on. He's gone. My house is clean. That was the spirit I brought with me from New Orleans. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about this experience. If you went to New Orleans and brought something back with you, if you're from New Orleans, if you've ever been haunted, if you're a medium, whatever, let me know in the comments.
Getting furniture off the street is not gross. I've only had one problem one time, and it wasn't because it was gross. It's because there was a ghost attached to a chair that I brought in from the New York City streets. I'd wake up every night. There's this girl hovering over me like this. And I thought I was dreaming it, but I blinked and she'd still be there. Anyways, I got my friend who's a psychic medium to come over. She described her the same way I did and said she was attached to the chair that I brought in. And she didn't even know that I brought in that chair. Do
y'all have time for another creepy ass story? Excuse my excitement, my rapid speed of talking, and my bulging eyes. It should just happen last night. I'm still a little antsy. It's going to be a long story, so I'm just going to jump right in. I want to get this done in one part. So not too long ago, I had posted a video about the first time I had like actually visually seen a fucking apparition or a shadow thing, like for the first time ever in my life. I said it happened in San Diego. Well, that wasn't correct, but that's going to be, why I'm telling you this is going to be relevant to the story later. You're going to realize. And that is how often this type of creepy stuff happens to me, that it becomes like, it's become mundane to me. It's like when you go and brush your teeth. It's something you do, but like it's something that happens every day, but you don't talk about it. You don't think about it. This is how this shit has become for me. I am like a beacon for this type of energy, these type of things happening to me. So I forget stuff all the time, and then I'm fucking triggered, like I was triggered last night. So in 2016, me and my boyfriend at that time had decided to move in together in these apartments in Lancaster, California. So we move in, everything is fine for the first 2 months, and then after those 2 months, I one day just suddenly feel like I'm being watched, and this feeling will not go away. And then about a year in, we started noticing things around the house are being misplaced and moved around. Like I swear, a perfect example, I had put my tablet, my reading tablet, on my nightstand because I read in bed, and then walk out of the room, and I come back in the room, and the tablet is in the middle of the floor, the middle of the room. Like there's no way the shit could have just fell and landed in the middle of the fucking room. It would be next to the nightstand, right? So shit like that was happening around the house all the time. And in the beginning of that, we were blaming each other, like, oh, I know you're fucking with me, like that type of shit, right? But then it got to a point where I was like, okay, this, like, it obviously is not either one of us, because me and him would both be out of the house running errands or going out to dinner or whatever the fuck, and come back and shit is moved around. So we're like, what the fuck? So my boyfriend starts setting up cameras all over the apartment, right? Because he's thinking we have a frogger. Like if you don't know what that is, it's pretty much someone that like secretly lives in your house and you don't know. If you ask me, I would much rather have a ghost in my house than a frogger. That is fucking terrifying. So we put up these cameras all around the apartment, but the shit is still happening. And it's happening like just outside of the camera view, or in rooms like where we don't have the cameras. Like our guest room, we didn't put a camera in there. The bathroom, we didn't put a camera in there for obvious reasons. So all of this that I just said that happened, this all happened within a span of like a year, right? So we're into our second year in this apartment. Now going into this next year, the activity just stops. But that next year was like the beginning of the end of that relationship. All we did that whole entire year was just argue and fight with each other. And it's not until one day that me and him are having a full-on screaming match. Me and him both are standing in the hallway facing each other, and to my left, to his right, is the bathroom. There's a hallway and then there's a bathroom. So me and him are screaming at each other, and the bathroom door slowly creaks open. Me and him both stop and look down the hallway, and we see a shadow. That's the only way that I can describe this. It didn't have like facial features or nothing like that. It looked like just this big tall shadow. It looked as tall as him. He was like 6'4". He was super. It looked as tall as him, and it was see-through, transparent, and it walks slowly towards us, and me and him are both frozen in fear, and we are both just watching this thing. I can't believe I just stood there. The thing walks down the hallway, comes right at us, walks in between us, walks into our living room, and then just dissipates. And me and him were left absolutely speechless. So that was actually the first time that I had ever seen an apparition. Not in San Diego, okay? But that will not be the last time. So me and my boyfriend end up breaking up and he moves out. But I end up staying in the apartment because there's 3 months left on the lease, and he had paid the rent 3 months in advance to help me out so I can save up some money to go find my own place. So 3 months free rent, fuck yeah, I'm staying. So this one night, being super impulsive, I randomly decide to get a tattoo. I have a friend that's an artist. I invite him over. I tell him, you can spend the night because you're going to be up a while, like fixing my tattoo. I had a tattoo on my foot that I wanted to get fixed. So it's time for bed. I put him on the couch. I'm in the bedroom. I wake up the next morning, and this motherfucker literally looks like he has seen a ghost. He was sitting on my porch, smoking a cigarette, rubbing his head, like he looked super stressed out. So I walk out there trying to be all funny and shit. I'm like, what's wrong with you, baby mama drama? That motherfucker had like 8 baby mamas, and no, I am not exaggerating. So he stayed stressed. This motherfucker, without missing a beat, looks me dead in my eyes and goes, there's something in your house. And I'm like, oh, what the fuck do you mean? Do you care to elaborate? He told me he had woken up to use the bathroom, and when he sat up on the couch, he looked down the hallway. So it's the hallway, and then at the end of the hallway, it's my bathroom. But like to the left of that is my bedroom. The room branches off. He said he had looked down the hallway and saw a big, tall shadow figure just standing in front of my door. Like, almost like it was guarding it, he said. He told me he was too scared to use the bathroom, that he had laid his ass back down, like praying for this thing to go away, right? He said he had stayed up for at least an hour just laying there. And he said every time he would look over, that thing was still there. He said that thing, it didn't move, it didn't go away. Like, it didn't give a fuck that I was looking at it. It stayed right in front of your door. He said that he had gotten the feeling that this thing was trying to intimidate him. So, needless to say, he never came back. That scared the fuck out of him. We had to continue my tattoo at his place the next day. So, shortly after all this, I end up having to, leave the apartment. I move in very briefly with my mother. So, I'm staying with my mama, and one day, my mom randomly walks into the room and is like, do you want to go to church with me? And I'm like, no, I don't. And it was a Brazilian church at that. Like, no shade or disrespect to Brazil, but we're not Brazilian. We don't speak Portuguese. Why she wanted to go to this church, I don't know. So after my mom took me on this long ass guilt trip, I'm like, fine, okay, I'll go with you. So we make it to the church. My mama walks in first, and then I walk in. Tell me why, when I make eye contact with the pastor, the guy who's leading everything, he looks like he has just seen a ghost. Immediately, I am feeling very unsettled. Throughout the fucking service, he is locked in on me. He's preaching. He's just looking at me the whole time. Like there's not a fucking whole group of people there. I wanted to get up and leave, but I don't want to be rude and I don't want to piss off my mom, so I just sit through it. So the service ends. I'm the first one on my feet. Before I can make it down the aisle, he loudly, he was making it seem like he was talking to everybody, but he was talking to me. He was like, wait, we pray before we leave. We have to pray. So I take my ass to the prayer circle that's in the front of the church. He immediately puts his hands on my forehead like this. Excuse me, sir. I don't like people touching me, especially strangers. I believe in energy transfer and destiny swapping and shit. I believe in all that. And on top of that, I am a fucking germaphobe. And your hands are one of the dirtiest parts of your body. Do not touch me. But like I said, I don't want to be rude, so I'm just sitting there. I don't want to piss my mom off. I'm just sitting there with his fucking dirty ass hands on my fucking head. And he won't let go of my head. Mind you, there's at least 30 other people there. We're in a circle. The whole prayer, it was a long ass prayer too. It was like 2 or 3 minutes long. The whole time he's got his sweaty ass hands on my forehead. So as soon as he says amen, immediately I'm already halfway out the door. But when I walk out, I notice my mom is not behind me. I notice she stayed behind to talk to this dude. 10 minutes later, my mama hops in the car, lights up a cigarette, and tells me, so I was talking to Pastor so-and-so, and he said that you brought something dark in with you. I beg your finest fucking pardon? She said that he said when I walked in that physically there was something big and dark following right behind me. Immediately, I'm like, that thing from the apartment has followed me. It's following me now. So I end up moving out of my mom's, and that's when I end up in San Diego in Lemon Grove, and that was the last time, not the first time, that was the last time that I had seen that thing in my little San Diego apartment guest house that I was renting, where it flew out of the window. I have a story time about that, but pretty much that thing showed itself one last time in my room, and it flew out of my window. That was 2019, and I haven't seen it since until last night. So last night, I had company over. I'm making dinner. Me and him are talking. I notice he keeps looking into my kitchen. And I make a joke. I'm like, don't worry, the food's going to be ready soon. Just a couple minutes. He's like, no, it's not that. I keep catching something in the corner of my eye in your kitchen. Something dark. Immediately, when he said that, something tall and dark, I'm like, oh, shit, it's back. Right after I say that to him, like, oh, shit, it's back, I'm about to tell him a story. The fucking tongs that were sitting on my stove fly off of the stove right in front of me and him. I had my tongs just like this. When I cook, I keep my utensils right in the middle like this. There's no way that this could have just fell or like slipped off like that. There's like even a little like dip here too. There's no way that thing just slipped off. That shit flew off of the stove. Flew off in front of us. My time is up, y'all, but now I'm dealing with that. That is what I'll be dealing with. What do y'all think though? Do I have a protector? Am I haunted? Do I got a little ghost stalker?
Can we show them the older homestead?
Yeah, let's go. As you know.
No, it's not. No, it's not. Was that you?
Yeah, that's on either side.
They went to both.
Yeah.
Hey y'all, so I'm back with another story. So I told y'all yesterday that throughout my life, my abilities have taken on different forms. So today I'm going to tell you a different type of story with another kind of thing that I've always had. So I grew up in the country, and to go to the city, there were 2 ways that we could go, and we called it the front way and the back way. So the back way is obviously back country roads that really just like people who lived there would travel that way. And then the front way was the main road, main highway that would take you like directly into the city. So I always hated going the front way because of this one particular house that is still there to this day. I still hate it. So whenever we would go that way, I would say like how I didn't like going that way, or I hated that house. I didn't like going past that house. And so one day when I was a teenager, my mom was like, what is with you in that house? Why don't you like the house? And I told her, I said, a long time ago, the lady that lived there offed her little boy. And she's like, where are you getting this from? And I'm like, I'm not getting it from anywhere. I just know it. And I told her, I said, the lady like took the little boy out and put him in the barn. So next to the house is this huge red barn. It's really tall. I'm assuming has very high ceilings. And so I was like, she put him in the barn. And my mom was like, where are you getting this from? And again, I'm like, I just know it. And there's no way for me to explain it when stuff like this happens. I just know. It's not an assumption. I'm not guessing. I don't think so. Like, I know it for a fact. And so she's like, you should go to the library and look it up and see what you can find. And I was like, no, I'm good on that. And so even though this is not something that has ever scared me, it's also not something that I want to like dabble in. Like whatever happens with me happens, but I'm not looking to use this in any way. I don't want to learn how to like make it stronger or anything like that, like I'm not interested, because I'm also a firm believer that when you open certain doors, you cannot control what comes in. So it's also not something that I want to mess with or like play around with. So I never looked into it. Time goes on. We're at my great grandma's house for the holidays, and I don't remember what holiday it was, but this was the place where we would all go. So we're in the living room, and some kind of way this topic comes up. I don't remember how this conversation was initiated, but the topic comes up, and this house comes up. And I mentioned, like, you know, how I don't like the house, and that lady, like, offed her son a long time ago. And my great-grandma, who was the matriarch of our family, and at this point, she would have been, like, 90, oldest person in our family, she goes, I remember when that happened. And, of course, we're like, what? So I'm like, well, what happened? And so she said a long time ago, years and years ago, like I don't even know if my grandma, who was her daughter, would have even been born at this point. She said that the lady that lived there had a little boy. And I forgot to say earlier, like I know what this little boy looked like and everything. I know what she looked like I just know. And so she said that the lady had a little boy, and he was very, very young, like would have been 5 or 6 years old. And she said that the kid went missing. And they search for him, like people in like where we're from, search for him, and eventually they find him dangling from the ceiling, like a beam in the ceiling of the barn. And she said that where he was, they always said there's no way that he got up there and did that by himself. And they always believed that his mom did this to him. But they were never able to prove it. So essentially, this lady just got away with it.
Have you ever felt so scared in your own home that you've had to get like a medium or a priest or someone to come and bless your house? Tonight's ghost story is called The Angry Man in the Kitchen. If you love a bloody good ghost story, hit the follow button, because I've got loads on my page now that you can binge, and they're all real. And if you really love it, you can go and find my podcast at The Darkling Chronicles on Spotify and Apple. Binge it while you drive, while you clean, while you walk the dog. Now, tonight's ghost story comes from Sarah at Mystic Fails. I will tag her so you can ask her some questions if you have them. So, Sarah says, I was invited to help with a house clearing one day by a close friend of mine. She's a brilliant medium, the real deal. And a young couple had just moved into what was supposed to be their dream home. But from the moment they moved in, strange and unsettling things started happening. God. Always take your dog with you when you're about to buy a house. Let them growl at corners, say no, you don't want to buy it, and leave. And get this. This is wild. This is absolutely wild. She says bins were flying across rooms. Doors slammed on their own. Objects fell from shelves with no one near them. They'd hear unexplained noises and footsteps when they were alone. The energy, they said, felt wrong. It felt like they were never alone. Oh, God. I feel like that with my dog. You don't leave me alone. But I mean, I'd take a dog over a demon any day. So, she says, off we went. And the moment we stepped through the door, I felt it. That dense, prickling pressure in the air, unmistakable when a spirit's around. She says my friend turned around and almost immediately said, there's a man here. And I could feel him too. He's angry, territorial, like we were intruding. She says we walked slowly through the house, letting the energy guide us, and it all seemed to gather in one spot, a little utility room off the kitchen. She says that was where most of that activity had been happening, and now it made sense, because as we stood there, I heard it say, clear as day, get out of my house. No, just no, thank you Sarah for sharing the story, but that's horrible. Now she says this wasn't a voice that she heard out loud, but in a strange way that spirits communicate, it was like loud inside her head and full of fury. She says my friend was having a full-on conversation with him by now, and we pieced together his story. He had lived there when the house was first built. This had been his home, and he'd had no intention of leaving. Listen, I can't fit all this story in one video. I'm sorry, I know I haven't done this to you in a minute, okay? But follow for part 2, because it's really good.
This story will make you believe that kids can actually see ghosts. The whole story starts when a 6-year-old girl named Jess started developing a little hobby, which was drawing. So she went to her parents. She was like, Mom, Dad, I've been drawing a lot recently. When the parents heard that she started drawing, they were like, say less. Parents were so proud of their daughter, and this is what they bought her: a bag full of copybooks, sketchbooks, colors, all that she needed. Jess was so happy when she received this gift, and she started drawing almost every day. Meanwhile, the parents didn't just buy her stuff and they were like, okay, go ahead, go draw. No, actually, they were really interested. What I'm trying to say is the parents really wanted to support Jess, and that's why they will actually see and discuss every drawing that she drew. So one day, the father wanted to go to Jess's room, to see what she drew today. So he knocked the door, I hope, and he was like, hi, it's Dad. You see, I'm trying to act like a dad, but I'm not one. But anyways, it was like, hi Jess, can you please show me what you did today? So Jess was like, sure, here, take a look. Do you like it? What the father saw was unexpected and scary. And that's why you will save the video and you will come back to it at night, so it's more enjoyable like that. This was the drawing, and from the look of it, I know you'll be like, oh my god, it's so cute. No, it's not, and let me explain why. Okay, first of all, this is supposed to be Jess, okay? She drew herself, alright? Now, the question is, who is this? The father asked the same exact question. He was like, Jess, who is this? So Jess was like, this is my friend. She actually comes to visit me every night. The father was really worried because he didn't understand what Jess meant by saying, she visits me every night. To that, this woman right here really reminded the father of somebody he knew. Out of curiosity, the father asked his daughter another question. He was like, okay, what's her name? So Jess responded, her name is Lucia, and she's actually really nice to me. Father was shocked when he heard this name, Lucia. So he immediately grabbed the paper and went to his wife. Now, the father is talking to his wife, which is Jess's mother, and he was like, do you recognize this person? The mother was like, what the hell are you talking about? A stick man would be more recognizable. No. The father again was like, nah, look closely, I'm talking seriously. No, still no. The father couldn't keep it anymore. He was like, Jess said that this is Lucia. The mother was so shocked that she almost lost her mind. And I'm sure at this point you want to know, who is Lucia? Lucia is basically the mother's sister. Okay, what about her? Well, she basically, before even Jess was born, basically means that Jess doesn't even know about Lucia's existence. Parents went to Jess's room again, and this time they were like, Jess, my sweetheart, my favorite artist. You're a good artist, you know that. And that's why we need you to draw Lucia the next time you see her. But this time, you want details. Everything that you see, you will draw it. Jess having no clue about what's going on, she was basically like, okay, sure. During this time, it's important to know that Jess didn't have the right to close her room door. Before asking why, just in case her parents listened to her talking with Lucia. This was a good idea, because a week after, the parents started hearing Jess talking. With who? Lucia, of course. While listening to the discussion, they couldn't hear Lucia, of course. But it wasn't hard to tell that Lucia was the one asking the questions and Jess was the one responding. Now, while they were listening, boom, everything stopped. Jess is not talking anymore. Now, the parents are so worried they actually decided to enter Jess's room. They were inside, they were like, okay, Jess, please don't panic. Please tell us where is Lucia right now. So Jess started looking around, looking for Lucia, and she was like, she's actually right here in this corner. Obviously, the parents couldn't see her, but they felt a weird energy. You know, they felt anxious. Something was here in this spot. The father was like, okay, Jess, please give me the drawing we asked you to do. I need you to remember, they were not 100% sure that this is the Lucia they're thinking about. They were like, maybe, this is just an imaginary friend. When the father asked Jess to give him the drawing, Jess was like, okay, here. This was the second drawing, and at this point, you cannot doubt that this is the Lucia they were talking about. The mother and the father recognized her by her facial features, you know, her blue eyes, her hair, you know, but not only. Because in this drawing, Lucia is wearing the exact same dress that she got buried with, meaning that the kid is not lying. Yup, she's actually seeing her mother's sister every night as a ghost. To this, the father called somebody who did exorcism, and apparently Jess can't see Lucia anymore. Now, you know what to check if you have a kid living in your house.
What the fuck was that? Bro!
What's going on around you?
I don't know. I'm frozen. I am frozen.
Did the window
Sean,
break?
Tonight's story comes from a girl named Lynn, which is not her real name, and she is one of my lovely subscribers who lives in East Khasi Hills, Meghalaya, in the northeast of India. Lynn's aunt had spent years saving every bit she could, all for one dream: her own home. Her aunt moved in with her 2 sons and decided to throw a housewarming party. That day, the place was full of people. Lynn and her parents came too, curious to see the new home for the first time. At her aunt's invitation, Lynn and her mother decided to stay the night. She felt it was a strange place, but after a whole day of eating, laughing, and talking, Lynn fell asleep almost instantly. The next morning, after breakfast and a quick shower, she and her mother set off for home. As the car neared the village entrance, her mother spoke up in a cautious tone. That house, something about it felt off. Lynn looked over and laughed. "Come on, Mom, you're just not used to it yet. It's a brand new house." Her mother nodded silently, but her face stayed unusually tense. A few months after the housewarming, Lynn and her mother ended up staying at her aunt's house for a month or 2 due to family circumstances. Then one night, Lynn woke up needing to use the bathroom. It was on the first floor, at the bottom of the stairs right next to the kitchen. She quietly made her way down the stairs. And up to that moment, nothing actually happened. Everything felt normal. But as she started back up the stairs, something shifted. 2 steps up, she felt it. A subtle but undeniable change in the air. At the same moment, from the direction of the kitchen door beside the stairs, she felt something, that strange, suffocating sense of being watched. She slowly turned her head. The kitchen was dark. As she lifted her foot to take another step, she felt something right behind her. She felt a presence that was so close. Its weight seemed to press against her back. It was almost like hearing footsteps, matching hers, moving up the stairs in perfect time. She took the remaining steps almost at a run, burst into the bedroom, and only then she let out the breath she'd been holding. But even in the safety of the room, the echo of those phantom footsteps clung to her ears. She couldn't sleep. She lay awake for hours, unable to shake the thought that whatever it was might still be waiting in the dark